Hello and welcome to the Backlot 605 podcast. I am one of your hosts. I am Casey Kelderman. Join with me as always, but for the first time in a very long time, in studio.
What?
Is Brian Mensing.
What's up?
What's up, Brian? I'm going to make sure we're working here because
are we working?
I can hear us, so that's good.
Okay.
But there is an echo, so I'm not wearing my headphones this time. So if something goes wrong, something's going to go wrong. I don't know. We'll know we're in the. It sounds like we're in the Matrix if we put our headphones on.
We're testing new technologies.
We are testing new technologies.
We are definitely not cutting edge.
We are not the Wachowskis at all. We are very much their redheaded step cousins. We are the cousin Olivers to the Wachowskis, if there ever was one. Brian.
Yes.
We are on the last episode of Pride Month 2021. We are talking about The Matrix.
A movie most people wouldn't think of when they think, hey, let's talk about Pride.
No. And Brian, I'm going to throw it off to you to introduce our guest then, and then I'll have our guest introduce The Matrix, ? And why?
Yeah. So, yes, joining us here is a longtime friend of mine here, Kimberly.
Howdy, how's it going?
known you for a very, very long time. You were
just a couple of weeks.
Well,
it stretched those out into like maybe years.
Years, yeah.
Decade or two.
When I met you, you were underneath a different name.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. The great big teddy bear that you are.
Yes.
That could still kick my ass.
Yes. Wait, maybe not so much now.
You could probably.
I'm still a big teddy bear.
You could still probably put me in a bear hug and still probably crack my back.
Ooh, I could probably do that. Cracking back. And
what?
Am
I too far?
Yeah, get nice and close to that mic.
Give it.
Hug it, Brian. We're not that kind of podcast, Brian.
We're not that kind of podcast. We're not going to get that kind of stuff on Twitch.
No, that is for Patreon only. Yeah. So, Kimberly, I'm going to ask you then, why The Matrix?
Why The Matrix? So, I guess fan theory is that The Matrix is a very, I don't know, it would be a very closeted movie when it comes to coming out. So, I guess how the theory goes is that when Neo is presented with the red pill or the blue pill, and all the fans who go with this, they believe that the red pill signifies the estrogen pill. Now, when I started taking the estrogen pill, it was pink. So, I don't know, pink, red, whatever. But so throughout all three movies is that Neo is finding his true self to become the one to, I don't know, to be the badass that he was always meant to be. And so, like with all theories go, you can really compare it to transitioning. We take our pink pill and we fight, we tooth and nail. Lots of personal challenges, growths, and everything in between to become the person that you were always meant to be. So it was very interesting that that this fan theory comes out and it's about transitioning. So I was doing a little bit of research, and actually, I guess the Wachowski brothers, now sisters, actually they confirmed that the movies is actually about transitioning.
Yeah, as doing research after watching the movie, I watched an interview with Lana Wachowski, I believe. I don't think it was Lily, that basically did confirm the fan theory and has now fully embraced it as what the movie can be interpreted as. Maybe wasn't in 1999,
definitely not 1999.
but is definitely always been present in the movie. And watching it through that lens this time and having that in my mind, you could definitely pick up on those.
Yes.
And I think it's more than a fan theory. It's just subtext. It's canon, and it's canon within the mythology of The Matrix. And we'll get into that. And I'm excited to talk about it because I like these out of the box picks that we've had this month. Like we did Nightmare on Elm Street 2. And then, of course, we did a couple that were just romance movies. I would say the other three that we did are just straight romance movies. And then we have The Matrix, which is a sci-fi action movie from 1999 starring Keanu Reeves. How does that fit in? And we'll talk about it because it totally does fit in. And I think it's
Because we needed more Keanu.
We always
You
need
never
more
have
Keanu.
enough Keanu.
Yeah. But yeah, we're gonna get into that. But we got a stacked actually box office and news.
Yeah, you're gonna talk the news because I can't see the news right now.
So I'll pull the both duties, I guess, this time. We'll do the news and the box office. But first of all, I'm gonna throw it to you first, Brian. After I announce number one at the box office, because it is your beloved Fast 9, the Furious Saga. Or the Fast Saga, whatever you want to call it.
It's supposed to come out last year, and I finally get to see it.
$70 million.
Yep. Yeah, they got my $14. And you know what? I do not regret a single penny of that spent on that movie. That movie is exactly what I went to go see. You know, it
is exactly what you went to see.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, in terms of, is it a movie with its flaws? Well, I also go into the Fast and Furious movies knowing exactly what I'm going to get out of that movie. And Justin Lin did not disappoint because he, it's like, you know what? Come back to the franchise. They're giving me one hell of a budget. I'm going to turn this to 11, like to the point where we know we're getting 2 more films. And I'm sitting here going, okay, you topped yourself as best as you absolutely can. Where do you go from here? Because the couple of the speculated theories happened. We get characters brought back from the dead. We get characters that we haven't seen for 6 films, with recurring cast members from Tokyo Drift. And Derek and I went to go see it, and both of us left that theater just cheesing out of our mind because, everything that is bad about the movie is what we love about those movies. One thing that I made reference to is the fact that one of the best parts about that movie is Vin Diesel's inability to make emotion with his face. Because
that's been the last 20 years of inability to make any emotion.
He's trying to smile, and he looks like the marble is just cracking.
I mean, the most emotion he's ever had in any movie is saying Superman or I am Groot.
Right?
I don't know what to think of this yet. I haven't watched it. I'm either going to love it or hate it.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about these movies, is that I'm going to love or hate it. They've won me over 8 times now.
Yeah.
Can 9th time still be the charm? I don't know. I'm excited to watch it. I'm excited
again,
for dumb
it's one of those
action.
Things like, Justin Lin's like, I'm going to blow up a train. I'm going to bring in a tank. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Whatever the case is. And it's just like, you know what? We're going outer space.
That's why you can't give me shit for Friday the 13th. If you like this much, you can't give me shit for Friday the 13th.
Honestly, you're not wrong.
Because they are worse movies than this, but yet still have my heart.
Yeah.
And they go to space.
Yeah.
They go to space.
Jason X.
We both now have we both have franchises that we absolutely love and hold dear to our hearts and go.
And that by the 10th film, they're going to space. Yeah.
Fast and Furious beat you by 1.
That's right. Spoilers.
At that point, Jason was just going to hell.
Yeah. Vin, they should they should swap the two then. The family goes to hell. Fast 10. $70 million though. Yes. Holy shit.
Which doesn't include the fact that it's already been open overseas for a couple weeks now. So this easily puts it closer to the 300 million mark, at least 250. Because I think opening weekend, it was like around 160 something, whatever, 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, 3 weeks ago when it opened up in China.
And then it has a 4th of July weekend coming up, which should be pretty big for this movie, especially.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm glad that the box office is doing well, at least doing $70 million. And number 2 is A Quiet Place Part 2. Came in number 2, $6.2 million. Again, still doing really well.
If it weren't for the sake of COVID and quote unquote Cineweek and whatever, not you'd look at this box office and go, "Ooh, what happened to go from 70 to 6?" In terms of the
A Quiet Place has been out for a month,
right?
And Fast and the Furious is the Fast and the Furious. It's $1 billion franchise. I mean, It makes sense to have it that.
I was wrong. As of this recording, Fast 9 is at 412 million for the worldwide.
I think it'll end up being the highest grossing movie of the year.
Oh, easily
worldwide.
easily.
Well, I don't know.
We do have some Marvel
okay,
movies.
domestic. It'll beat out any of those Marvel movies. Domestically, it will. China was already kicking ass before.
Yep.
This came.
So
out.
sorry. Back to John Krasinski and the Amazing Quiet Place 2.
Yeah, back to it. I haven't seen it yet.
Again, how's the horror guy not seen the horror movie? And I have. I said this last week. I'm pretty sure I said it the week before. And the week before,
I probably won't watch it till it's at home by now. So
it's like
we'll have to wait.
I need to have it super quiet in my house because too many people eating popcorn.
Well, the catch-22 of too many dogs in the house at home too. So it's either dogs or loud people on their cell phones or eating popcorn. This movie's still in the box office. Why? The Hitman's Bodyguard's wife's bodyguard's Hitman. The Hitman's wife's bodyguard. Jeez, why?
Hitman's wife's bodyguard.
$4.88 million for Mr. Jackson, Mr. Reynolds, and Mrs. Hayek.
Yeah, I still want to see this, just because it is. Even if it's even remotely like what the first one was, the chemistry between Sam Jackson and Ryan Reynolds is absolutely beautiful, to the point where I would love to see Ryan Reynolds enter the MCU, just because I want to see whatever character they gave him up against Sam Jackson's Nick Fury.
Well, Deadpool.
Yeah, Deadpool.
He's not playing anyone else.
Yeah.
Touche. I will say that again. Yes,
Mr. Reynolds was born to play Deadpool.
Right. There are some of those people where you're like, yeah, or even when they make the comment about not recasting for Chadwick Boseman, like there's certain people like, yep, nope, nobody, no. Mm-hmm. That's why I think Wolverine would be really, really hard, just because everybody's gotten so used to him being Hugh Jackman. But we'll see.
I've got hot takes about Wolverine.
Glenn Danzig is Wolverine.
Who? Did you say Danzig?
Yeah, Glenn Danzig.
Is he going to write and direct it too?
Yeah.
I had to process that for a minute, because at first I was like, what actor is he talking about? Oh, no, he went Danzig on me.
Yeah.
Acclaimed filmmaker Glenn Danzig.
I don't know if I'd want to see something that Danzig wrote, directed, or whatever the case is. That would be disturbing.
Yeah, it is. Another thing that's disturbing is our number 4 movie, Peter Rabbit 2, The Runaway, $4.88 million.
It's run away with your money.
I guess. Again, where did this movie come from? Why is it coming out?
Peter Rabbit 2.
Did you remember there's a Peter Rabbit 1?
The kids movie that...
I don't remember the first one.
James Corden led. He's Peter. Yeah. When you're like, who are you going to cast as Peter Rabbit? Who's the name that we're going to be like, we can sell tickets? Grab James Corden. Yeah. This is,
again, I get this mixed up with Hop. That's not a good movie.
I will say this much here. Granted, my kids are too young to tell me what they saw and whatnot, but even my kids have seen this movie, and I'm like, we're good.
Dad, the one with the rabbit. Okay, I know which one.
They keep calling it Jack Rabbit too.
Jack Rabbit Jump.
I would rather watch that. Number 5, Cruella. $3.73 million. Still skinning Dalmatians in the box office.
I do still need to see this.
But she's a hero.
She is a hero.
I don't want to watch this.
You don't want to see it? Hey, people have come back saying that it was much better than expected you, a.k.a. Sam.
Again, they said that about Aladdin. It's much better than you thought. You thought it was going to be garbage. It's not garbage. It's not good.
Did Sam say that about Aladdin?
I don't know. That's what everybody said about Aladdin.
I never said that.
Yeah.
Aladdin was not great.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to see it. I don't know. I don't want a hero Cruella de Vil who would 10 years later skin dogs and wear them.
So is Cruella, is that supposed to be like a prequel to?
Yeah, it takes place like in the 70s. Emma Stone is Cruella de Vil.
She's a punk rock Cruella de Vil.
She's like a fashionista before she goes all start skinning Dalmatians.
If anything out of that picture, I do love her outfit.
Yeah.
It's a hot outfit.
Well, I mean, and that's just it. I mean, that's one of the things that they've done very, very well about, I think, in terms of like the presence of her character and...
I wouldn't be I wouldn't be surprised if it got nominated for best costume design at the Oscars.
Easily.
So, yeah. If anything, the fashion alone, that's fantastic.
It definitely has like 70s, 80s, like punk rock feel to it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And Emma Stone is just great. So
She is great.
If this is Emma Stone's injection to the Disney universe to get her into something else that will put her in the MCU or some other part
she will be in the MCU next year.
Really?
Right? Isn't she been talked about for that Spider-Man multiverse thing? I think her name's been brought up.
The only reason why her name's been brought up is because she's been part of past said Spider-Man until things are in concrete and whatnot. It's most of those that are coming from like we got this covered, which is like the clickbait, trashy newsstand.
Yeah,
website.
you also have Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield saying, "Nah, we're not in it. No, Marvel's not giving us a $10 million at least to be in this movie. Not at all.
We'll see.
They're in it. So that's the box office. Fast 9, kicking ass, taking names. We'll probably do so for the next 2 weeks for sure before Black Widow comes out.
Yep.
Let's jump to the news then.
The news.
Oh God, where we're starting with this one.
Hey, I just copied it from the list that you put on there.
Yeah, Paramount announces Transformers 7th film to be titled Transformers: Rise of the Beasts, directed by Bumblebee director Travis Knight. Is that his name? Yeah, that's his name. Travis Knight.
If it's directed by the same one that did Bumblebee, there's at least some hope for it, because at least as the deteriorating product that was the Transformers movie, I enjoyed Bumblebee. I enjoyed Bumblebee for what it was. And supposedly Bumblebee is supposed to be the quote-unquote soft reboot to the series, so we can try to forget Shia LaBeouf and Mark Wahlberg's versions of...
It's not Travis Knight. Stephen Caple Jr. is taking over, who did Creed 2.
Well, I mean, you enjoyed Creed 2.
I like Creed 2.
I enjoy Creed. And both of them were actually.
So, I mean, there is that. So, and supposedly I think it was it takes place in the 90s or something like that. It takes place sometime after Bumblebee. So,
yeah. I haven't watched Bumblebee yet. I dropped off after Mark Wahlberg's.
Yeah.
Bumblebee
garbage.
is one of the ones where it's like, oh, so this is how you make a good Transformers movie.
Yeah.
And the fact that, the title also alludes to the fact that we're going, they tempted the Dinobots in previous Transformers movies. This is, I know that we're getting into Beast Wars. So we'll see how
it's not going to take 2 hours and 40 minutes to get to the dinosaurs.
Right.
Meanwhile, we deal with Mark Wahlberg for 2 hours and 40 minutes. Hey, dinosaur, how's that hanging? Yeah, I don't know. I'll wait to watch it at home. I'm not into these.
This is going to have to give me a trailer that's going to make me go, damn, I need to go see this on the big screen.
Or put Michael B. Jordan in it, and then I'm like, all right, you got me.
Damn it, you got that chocolate love in there. I just need to go visit.
Sign me up.
That Michael B. Jordan is his man crush of the century over here.
Well, he's top five for sure. Donald Glover's in there, Justin Timberlake as well. Next up, though, Rachel Zegler, who is the star of the upcoming West Side Story from Steven Spielberg, set to star in Disney's remake of Snow White.
Because we need another remake.
Live action remake as well. How do we feel?
Well, if she's coming off of West Side Story,
Disney has seen it, obviously.
Right.
They must be happy with it.
Yeah.
Must think she's going to be a star, which is good for her.
Right, exactly. It is one of those kind of vehicles. I mean, I don't know her much, whatever. I plan on seeing West Side Story just because it's always been one of my favorite musicals. And so I plan on seeing that. But I mean, it's just that, if she's coming off a movie that hasn't even been released yet, and Disney's got that kind of, evidence of, trust in her to do something like Snow White, I mean, obviously props to her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know how I feel about a Snow White live action reboot.
Maybe it'll be like when you talk about Cinderella being the best live action remake there is. Maybe we'll get, we'll just have 7 versions of Deep Roy.
Oh God, please no. Cinderella is the best Disney live action remake. But I don't know again how I feel about this. As long as they don't do the dwarves CGI.
Oh yeah.
Because I feel that's what they would do. Or they'll cast like Hugh Jackman as them and then shrink him down, or something like that. They'll cast famous actors in the role.
You all of a sudden, I'm having flashbacks of you. One of the things you absolutely hated about Willow. is the brownies.
Oh yeah. Oh no. No.
They go the brownies right. You're like, yep, I'm out.
They're annoying. Yeah, don't do that.
But bring me back Kevin Pollak as one of the dwarfs.
Oh, please no. Yeah, just cast actors in the role.
Yeah.
No, cast. Don't, like I said, don't make Hugh Jackman short.
No. Give this. That would be one of those instances of giving the appropriate, role to the appropriate type of person for that, as opposed to, like you said, a normal sized person as, shrink them down and be like, no, there are people that would fit that role. That's who you need to cast.
Mm-hmm. And great actors too. That's Willow. If you talk about great actors,
my God,
he's incredible in the movie.
I would love to see Warwick Davis come back to the Disney fold more than just the Willow series and whatnot. And be, I would, if you told me that they were doing Snow White and Warwick Davis was one of the dwarfs, I'd be like, I don't care about anything else. Mm-hmm. I would go watch that.
Yeah. I don't see them going that route, but hopefully they do.
Well, by this time he's definitely got the age on him, so he could play one of the older dwarfs, so he could be able to pull it off.
Yeah,
I'm Warwick Davis and Snow White, Disney.
Yes, make it happen.
Make it happen.
Speaking of Disney, Scarlett Johansson is set to produce and star in Disney's Tower of Terror coming up.
I know, right? Because we need another movie made off of a Disney ride.
Yes, we do.
But it's probably ScarJo going, well, unless they make another Star Wars movie I can get shoehorned into, I got to try to keep getting this Disney money. They killed me off. I got my solo movie, but you can only make so many solo movies before I'm dead in the series anyway. So, I mean, until we see or hear more, whatever the case is, I have full confidence in ScarJo. It would just be more of, where are we going to see a theme ride movie work? Pirates of the Caribbean did very well. Mm-hmm. We still don't know how Jungle Cruise is going to go, but Disney's going to keep going. Whatever famous ride do we have can we make into a movie? So I guess until we see more, that's all we can really do is just speculate. Mm-hmm. Is it going to be trash or is it going to be a $1 billion hit?
I think it'll do pretty well. I think these Disney, it has the name attached to it. I'm kind of leaning towards it might end up just being a Disney Plus movie.
Maybe.
Because that seems obviously totally a Disney project based on a Disneyland ride, one of the most famous. And I know they are working on a Haunted Mansion reboot as well. So I'm all in for
It doesn't take much to reboot off of the Eddie Murphy one, though.
Listen. Okay, that's a bad movie. It's a guilty pleasure, though. I kind of at least appreciate that it was made. It's horrible. I can appreciate it. I still remember getting the McDonald's toys for that movie. But I'm excited that Disney is doing more kids horror because that is something I've always pushed for. Is we need more kids horror movies. Haunted Mansion was not good, but they're trying again with that, which I think can work. Tower of Terror definitely can have that as well. They're doing a Hocus Pocus sequel, so I think that they're going in the right direction to have some kids October content. I would assume this will probably come out in October. So I'm all for that because the 90s was filled with it. The 2000s and 2010s was just no, whatever, not. Kids, you don't like horror movies.
You just want Toy Story.
Mm-hmm. Or if they did, it was animated. So
right. It was Hotel Transylvania and the Addams Family.
Yeah. Or Coraline, which is great.
Oh, true.
And Frankenweenie and Corpse Bride.
Never did watch any of those.
Oh my God, they're so good.
You've made up for my lack of watching, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
gotcha.
I got you back on that one.
I just rewatched Corpse Bride the other day, and it's
so good.
One of Tim Burton's best.
Does it still hold up?
Yeah, it's my favorite Tim Burton stop motion movie that he's even associated with.
Wow. Do you acknowledge that fact around the fiance?
Yes, she knows that. She'll agree on certain days.
That sounds like the thing you say if you want to sleep on the couch. In this household, that seems like the kind of thing.
In this household, where A Nightmare Before Christmas is worshipped like it's the Holy Grail. Yes, it is a scary thing to say. But speaking of scary things,
I don't have a nativity set. I've got a Jack Skeleton set.
Actually, there is in the other room. last up, speaking of actual horror movies, this one is not for kids. Halloween Kills trailer just dropped. Mikey is back.
You'll have to give me the spoiler-free version of this trailer that I will not watch because I plan on seeing this in the theater. And this is one I have been looking forward to because I really enjoyed the
Michael
Danny McBride produced Halloween.
Michael Myers isn't dead, so spoilers.
Shocker.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh. I don't know if I can watch it now.
It is not Halloween 3 Season of the Witch remake, which we are all hoping for, but it is not. I don't know how to talk about this trailer without, because the whole trailer is spoilers of what happens. The trailer opens with how he gets out of the house that's burning at the end.
Okay.
And will basically take place pretty much right after the end of the Halloween 2018. And what this is showing...
3 years to get out of that house.
It did. The guy was burning alive. Give him a break. Yeah, I don't know. I think this has a totally different look than any other Halloween movie, even the Rob Zombie ones.
Now,
because
is that good or bad? As a Halloween aficionado over there,
I'm excited to watch it. So I think it is just a totally different movie, whereas the Halloween 2018 had a lot of Carpenter-isms to it. Mm-hmm. It also had a lot of gore. This one's going straight in. This is a straight-up R-rated bloody slasher movie. And so...
I can feel my heart fluttering already.
You're saying the things that I wish Chris Rock would have done with Spiral instead of starring in it. Is just go the Danny McBride produced, like, I want to make a good homage to a property that I absolutely love, because that was one of those things that, like, Danny McBride was like, no, must be just a guy with the same name and whatnot. You pull it up, you're like, wow, the Eastbound and Down, Tropic Thunder comedian, made one of the best Halloween movies.
An obscure Danny McBride movie, 30 minutes or less, has Friday the 13th references throughout it.
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm like, as soon as his name was attached to Halloween, I'm like, well, yeah, he's already a horror fan. He was like, has entire scenes with him and Nick Schwartz and watching Friday the 13th and yelling at Jason.
That makes me want to watch that movie.
It's actually, it's not that bad. It's not good.
I heard it's not a great.
It's not great. It's worth a watch. I mean, it's a fun Friday night movie. But this movie looks awesome. I'm excited for it. I mean, obviously we've been waiting 2018 since this one came out, and this was supposed to come out last year.
October of
2020,
right?
Mm-hmm.
So
for fans of the series, obviously there's a ton of homages to previous movies, including the aforementioned Halloween 3 Season of the Witch as well. But yeah, this looks like it's going to have like the highest kill count of the series, which I'm excited to see.
Is he just going to he just goes into like a high school, just goes throw his knife around?
You're not far off. There's a point in the trailer where they're bringing back characters from the original movie now as adults, which we've talked about casting of those. Anthony Michael Hall being one of them.
So like the 1978 version.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anthony Michael Hall is playing Tommy Doyle, the kid that Jamie Lee Curtis is babysitting in that movie. And he's like forming a mob to go after Michael Myers. And it kind of looks like Michael's just going to murder the entire town of Haddonfield.
Yes.
I'm okay with that. Mm-hmm. And I will take anything with Anthony Michael Hall in it.
The opening, 30 seconds of this trailer is insane. Of him, it shows how he gets out of the house. It is nuts. It's insane. I'm excited for it. Can't wait to watch it in the theater. I would say just watch the trailer. Apparently, the trailer only shows the first quarter of the movie. Is what I've been told.
Quarter of the movie.
Well, you know what I mean. Like some trailers,
I can arrive late to the movie and still be okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what it is. But yeah, I'm very excited for it. I think both of you are as well. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm
definitely excited for
it. It definitely falls underneath trailers I won't watch unless I'm forced to because they're in front of a movie that I'm actually at the theater for. That I will not watch because I want to go in completely blind and appreciate these movies for what we're gonna get.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm going to have two questions for Kimberly then.
42?
Yes.
Good answer.
Good answer, Steve Harvey. Halloween 2018. Thumbs up, side, or down?
2018?
Yeah, that'd be the Danny McBride reboot-ish. Well, no, direct sequel to the original 78.
Yeah.
because he retcons all of the previous.
I would give it like a 3/4. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely not a complete thumbs up, but you know, I liked the movie for what it was.
Okay. Same. I that's how I feel too. And then
It's like a 3/4.
That's. I'm like, it's not great. It's not. It's not mediocre. It's in the middle.
Yeah.
And then Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Fan or not?
I would have to say
Loaded
not,
question.
just because I have not seen it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I can't say for sure.
It's the one Halloween movie that doesn't have Michael Myers in it.
Ooh, that's unfortunate.
Just watch it.
Yeah.
Just watch. All right.
Go in knowing Michael will not show up in this movie,
All right.
and just watch it as what it is.
All right.
The
I'll definitely do that.
the mythology is that they were going to turn Halloween into an anthology style.
Like every year,
Secret.
Carpenter would produce a different movie that just took place on
It
Halloween.
would just be a Halloween in terms of the date, but everything else would be different.
Really?
And Season of the Witch came out. They're like, this didn't work.
Oof. Unfortunate.
But now,
But-
30 years later,
There's a lot of love for it. You know, it's one of those movies.
Right.
As somebody who I myself have not seen it, but I understand a lot of the lore behind it because I have to listen to him all the time. Is that it's one of those ones where it's become a very cult favorite because of they tried to do something different.
and it's a legit good, it's a good movie. I mean,
Well.
for years I had, well, it is, you haven't watched it. I had the stigma of Michael Myers isn't in it, I'm not watching it. And then when I finally did watch it, I'm like, what was I doing? This movie's awesome.
Really?
I don't care that Michael Myers
Yeah,
not
you
in
just
it.
take
It's
away
awesome.
The fact that it's not a Michael Myers movie, from my understanding, it's a good horror.
It's
movie.
awesome. Tom Atkins is in it, and he's badass.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Curiosity's peaked. I think I'm off the home.
Well, definitely watch it. That's it for the news.
That's it.
That is it. Should we go into the Matrix?
Did you bring your pill?
Kind of.
Yeah.
I brought
There it is.
my red and blue pills.
Mario brought the pills.
Yeah,
Mario brought the pills.
Yeah.
When I realized that I had to change my shirt to get ready for recording, I'm like, I have the shirt for that.
The perfect.
Dr. Morpheus.
Why is he a doctor?
Because
Let's
it's
start with
Dr.
that. I need to answer this. I have so many questions about the Matrix, but I have more questions about the T-shirt. So for people listening, Brian is wearing it's Dr. Mario as Morpheus holding the red and the blue pill from the Matrix. But why is he a doctor?
That's why, like I said, it's Dr. Morpheus, not Dr. It's not Morpheus, it's Dr. Morpheus.
But why isn't he just Morpheus? Why does it have to be doctor?
Because this, I can't. This came from one of those websites where
Morpheus isn't a doctor in the movie.
but Dr. Mario is a thing.
I understand that he's a thing.
It came from one of those. It came from one of those websites that's like, you know, just they only print the artist shirt that one day.
Yeah.
And I went to the thing. I was like, I'm buying that. That is amazing. Like, this is a beautiful mashup.
It is. It just has a lot of questions behind the mashup. I'm like, why is he a doctor? Is it because of the pills aspect? But I'm like, the pills have nothing to do with being the doctor. He's just Morpheus. He's not a doctor.
Yeah, but there's two things that give us pills, you know, in terms of, you know, pop culture.
I don't get my pills from a
Matrix.
doctor.
Morpheus was a doctor before entering the Matrix.
There you go.
He was.
No,
and
before
Nightmare on
he
Elm Street
exited
Part
the
3.
Matrix.
Yes, he was.
What's that? What?
Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3 is a prequel to the Matrix, obviously, because he is a doctor.
There you
And that's
go.
how he becomes Dr. Morpheus.
See, and that's how they pull him out.
Dun,
They don't want him dying
Yeah.
or something like that.
Could you
Freddy
imagine-
Krueger
could you
just
imagine Bob
is in the
Hoskins was
Matrix.
Still alive, and he got to play this version of Mario.
I would not want to see that. But moving on. The Matrix, 1999. One of the
How old were you?
5 years old.
Okay, just
well,
checking.
Youngins.
Oh, he was just a baby.
4 years old when it came out.
99, I would have been
Yeah, you're.
25,
I say
24.
you're a couple years older than me because I was 21.
Yeah.
You
I feel
young,
old all of a
you
sudden.
young baby.
I was a young baby in 1999. Yeah, I obviously did not watch this when this first came out.
You didn't go watch this in the theater?
I did not.
Why not?
Oh, trust me.
I should have.
This would be one of those ones
Mind
where
blown.
I would honestly, I would love to see the state bring this to. I think this would play very well at the state.
Oh,
if
it
we
would.
got this local.
It would crush at the state.
Yeah, I would definitely go.
Then what about you two in the theater?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah,
Opening weekend.
This was probably, I'd have to say, pretty close. I mean, without just off the top of my head knowing what other movies came out that year. Granted, we're talking American. I think the same year as American Pie.
One of the greatest years in movies ever, 1999.
Yes. Yeah. But I want to say this is probably pretty close to one of the top like movies of that entire year, like hands down over every genre.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was working at Software Etc. when this first Matrix movie came out, and my boss was enamored. He would not stop talking about like all the visual effects and everything that went into making this movie, and then the games that came out and all the merchandising that, oh my lord,
Warner Brothers was all over it.
All over it. And so like I just remember Software Etc. just being Matrix everything for like a month while the movie came out, and it blew my mind out of the water with how good it was.
I remember when I was at DSU for a short period of time, and there's like nothing on the walls except the back of the door of my dorm room door. There was my Matrix poster.
I was gonna say 1999 seems like a year where I want to know what the year was like for people at the movie theater, because obviously I remember the hype around Phantom Menace, which was later in 99. Right? Or May of 99.
No,
it would have been May.
I'm pretty sure it was spring.
So May of 99. But right before that was then obviously The Matrix a few months before that. And from what you guys were saying, obviously a fever of everybody loves The Matrix. And then a few months later, obviously, Star Wars comes out. And 99 is obviously one of the greatest movie years of all time. And just continued throughout the year. I would love to see like what that looked like now. Like, someone should make a documentary about 1999 in movies.
I think that'd be a good documentary. I do think in watching The Matrix and whatnot, and Aftermath or whatever the case is, I'm pretty sure like leather jackets and leather bodysuits and all of the blacks and everything like that. I'm pretty sure whoever was manufacturing that at the time is like, my sales just went up 4,000%.
We need to cash in now. It's our time, finally.
Right?
Yeah, with the wardrobe BDSM sales went through
I was gonna say that shady guy down the shady guy down at the end of the block is like, I'm in. The 40-year-old mother just came in and bought the leather bodysuit. I'm good.
The guy who invented the duster is like, oh man, not since the Cowboys can this finally be popular again.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, this movie obviously it did take over everything at the time. I mean, I remember watching like probably was like the MTV or one of those awards. Obviously, was parodying this. It's been parodied multiple times since '99.
Yep.
Scary Movie, I think, did it. Or Scary or two or three. One. I think the first one maybe.
I think they did.
Yeah, the first one. It was the first one.
Everybody was like
doing that. Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's not like the bull effect was anything new, but it was just the way the Matrix did it that they're like, oh, we can do it and make it look good. Now we need to do that.
Yes.
And yeah, every fight scene after this for a number of years had the slow-mo 360 frozen in the air.
Oh, yes.
I mean, we talked about one movie that is, I would say, a direct ripoff of The Matrix, Equilibrium, with Christian Bale.
Yes and no.
That movie wouldn't have been made if this movie wasn't this popular.
Oh no, that was definitely
great movie, but definitely.
That's one of those ones where I think that the person making the movie would not have been able to get it made if it wouldn't have been for The Matrix.
Yes.
But I don't think it's a direct ripoff. But there's aspects.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of like that, again, that movie wouldn't have been made without The Matrix, and plenty of parallels between the two. And I mean, for 1999, this movie still has just major influence on sci-fi in general.
Oh yeah.
Because I don't know, sci-fi at this time in 99 was what would have been around yet. I mean, obviously, next generation of Star Trek was
you're
earlier
more
90s
sci-fi than I am, but I would say is that especially like that around that time, it was getting very much into computers and CGI were starting to up the ante a little bit, but they weren't quite there. But all of the studios wanted to lean on it because I think of like
we're also kind of in the post Jurassic Park era still,
right?
Of it was just a big monster movie like Godzilla, Anaconda,
like like even like Sphere and Event Horizon and like all these like space type of like sci-fi horror and everything like that. Like everybody was all like, oh, we CGI is not like it was in the 80s and whatnot. We got to rely on everything. And this is, The Matrix was one of those ones where it's like, we can do that, but we're going to do it better.
Also, in the this is a straight up gunplay action movie too, introducing that, because you're coming off Arnie and Sly of the 80s and 90s, just being the kings of action movies.
Action movies, big explosions, helicopters, aliens.
And this movie does have a lot of that, but it is with a scrawny Keanu Reeves inside of a computer generated world that he is in. So in combining like the brinking of like the internets and computers being in every household, combined with that style of action, really there's nothing like that before 99, before this movie comes out. And that's the biggest props that I give to this movie, is that it is so wholly unique while fitting into sci-fi and action movies and being both of those. But it is also like, there's nothing like The Matrix before this time.
And I kind of think it was, a lot of this movie and its nostalgia and everything like that definitely plays off of Keanu Reeves and what he brought to this movie. And I think of like, had he not done like Speed, and if he would still been living off of the whole like Bill and Ted-esque type of roles and whatnot, would he have ever been offered the role? I looked up names of people that were thrown the role before he even got offered the role.
Will Smith,
Leonardo DiCaprio.
I think Will Smith was the closest to it happening.
Will Smith is like, he turns it down and didn't end up doing Wild Wild West. I remember, and I saw that.
I like Wild Wild West.
For me, it's a guilty pleasure as well. It's not a great movie.
Hot take, it's my favorite 90s Will Smith movie.
I have
Is that where they had the big mechanical robot?
Yep.
The spider?
Yeah,
Which,
okay.
after watching An Evening with Kevin Smith, I have a better appreciation
for the giant spider robot.
For the giant robot spider, because of the whole Superman Lives script. So, yeah, I mean, I think everybody was beautifully, like, everybody was perfectly in what they were put together and whatnot. Like, you could not make this movie with anybody else that you already did. And I don't know if it would have worked, maybe, but like, I don't know.
I think in terms of casting, okay, should we start with Keanu?
Yes.
Because I saw a grimace on your face.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keanu is not good in this movie, but he is good in this movie. Does that make any sense? Because Keanu is not a good actor.
Yeah, I would have to agree with. Well, yeah, Keanu's got some that are very like, "What the hell were you thinking?" moments. But I think in the Matrix, because he's supposed to portray like this very nerdy computer guy, and just knowing a lot of nerdy computer guys,
He looked like a surfer nerdy guy.
yeah, a little bit.
He looked like Point Break went nerd.
Point Break goes to college.
Yeah, but I think if anyone would have been, Neo, I don't think they would have been able to pull it off as well as Keanu. It's just his uniqueness, and his. I mean, he's no Leonardo DiCaprio. I'm going to say that very facetiously, but I think he did an all right job with it being Neo.
And I think part of that too is I couldn't see Leo in this
No.
doing the action stuff at all.
No, gosh, no.
Because Keanu pulls all that off. Obviously, we know that now with John Wick.
Yeah.
But like Keanu is just a straight up going all in on action every time.
Yeah. Well,
that's where he
and
shines.
even if we talk Leonardo DiCaprio, if you even talk the 22 years since this was made, Leonardo doesn't do this kind of movie.
No, he does not do high profile action.
Well, the closest that you probably would even remotely get would be like Inception, and even then, all the action
that's high concept action.
And that's high concept action, and even then, he himself isn't the one doing the action. Like one of the most biggest action sequences in Inception is Joseph Gordon-Levitt when he's in the hallway and it's rotating.
Oh, sure, yes.
And all the gun stuff is really Tom Hardy.
And right, exactly.
Like, we're going off on a Leo tangent, but that's okay. So the biggest Leo action movie, is it Romeo and Juliet?
But even then,
that's an old one.
Right? But
96, Leo.
Is that where they were using the guns instead of swords?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
But that's when, everything was set modern day, but everything was still in old Shakespeare speak.
Where they were talking all funny.
I guarantee someone's yelling at us right now
I
through their headphones. No, this Leo movie has more action, but I can't think of enough.
Well, I was gonna say if they were gonna be yelling at us about Romeo and Juliet, I'd be like, that's got a soft. Like I love.
Well, I'll yell.
I will go on
Romeo
the sword
and
for Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, I'll push you onto it. You and Baz Luhrmann at the same time. But Keanu in this movie, like, he does still have that surfer mentality, obviously, because I think that's just ingrained in Keanu, especially with the "whoa" line, which is a perfect laugh out loud moment, and it needs to be at that time. But I think him compared with Lawrence Fishburne, especially, and with the villain in this movie. What's his name?
Oh, Hugo Weaving.
Hugo Weaving, who is
Agent Smith.
Great in this movie. Mr. Anderson. He's so good. And I think everybody else around not Leo,
Keanu.
around Keanu
Leo
is great in this movie. And I kind of compare it to like Dracula. Because Keanu's he's worse, he's much worse than that than he is in this. But everybody around him is so great, and the movie around him is so great.
Prop him up.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So for this,
even Joey Pantoliano.
Joey Pants is great in this movie.
Joey Pants is great.
Oh, I love Joey Pants.
Which one's Joey Pants?
Joey Pantoliano is the
bald-headed
guy that
goatee.
ends up trying to take them all out.
Oh, yes.
You know,
The one who was that was infected by the Matrix or whatever, in like the real life where he was trying to like.
He was the one that was working with Agent Smith.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
So just picture him with hair, and like 20 years before that, when he was in Goonies, he was one of the brothers.
Right, that is Joey Pants.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy wow.
He was one of the Fratelli brothers. He was the Fratelli brother with the glasses.
He is also in a top 20 comedy of the 1990s, according to Mr. Sam Len's Baby's Day Out.
Oh, jeez. We try to forget about that. Quit bringing it up.
I had to bring it up. Joey Pants is in the movie. I mean, he looks the exact same that he does in this movie.
There's three things I like Joey Pantoliano in, and that is Goonies, The Matrix,
Baby's Day Out.
And sorry, I'm going to drop the F-bomb just for that, Sam, just for you.
Warranted.
And Bad Boys as the the police chief in Bad Boys.
Did you see the Goonies in the movie theater?
No,
I did.
But I will.
But he will.
Let's see here. I will be in 4 days.
Really?
It's playing at the State. I'm watching on Saturday at 11 a.m.
Oh, I'm so going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
I love that movie.
Should we jump into the plot of The Matrix? We talked a little bit about the casting.
Plot.
There's a lot of plot of this movie.
Still working there.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it a little bit. It stars Keanu Reeves, who plays Neo, who is this. Basically, he's a computer hacker that believes that the Matrix is real, which is that they are living in a world created by computers and living inside this computer world.
It's called a simulation.
What's that?
It's called a simulation.
A simulation. It's a computer world.
Within a simulation?
Yeah.
Within a simulation.
Yeah.
It's like Inception.
Yeah.
And he obviously.
God, now I want to say Rick and Morty's Inception.
Yes. It's a simulation. Slavery with extra steps.
I want to see it too.
So good.
And along the way, of course, he meets Morpheus, who basically explains to him through the red and blue pill scene that the Matrix is in fact real, and that computers are basically trying to destroy what is left of humanity that is still on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much everything that's going on nowadays.
Right now, we're in the start of it. Yeah. Jeffrey Bezos, thank you very much for helping progress this.
Oh, yeah. He's building a building just down the road from us.
He is. We're going to be neighbors with Jeff Bezos. Nice. I'm excited.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Anyway.
I was like, Casey stalled. Hit reboot.
Glitch. It was a glitch in the Matrix. But let's talk about, okay, first time we watched this movie. That's kind of where I want to start, because then we'll obviously talk about the latest time that we have watched this
theater movie. 22 years ago. That's the first time I watched this movie.
What was your first reaction coming out of it the first time that you guys watched it?
Yeah, mind blown.
blown away just the amount of CGI
that was done well.
Very well. Because when we were talking about Star Wars, episode 1 came out earlier that year, right? You take a look at episode 1.
It does not age well.
Oh, God. Kids can do CGI better than what was on episode 1.
Yeah.
But when you take a look at The Matrix, that holds up very well.
I think part of it also lies in the fact that the Wachowskis used CGI where necessary and everything else was done practically.
Yes.
Because, like, for instance, if you think of the, like the fight scenes where they're hovering in the air and they do the 360 shot, it's not CGI. It was, it was a camera rig that took the photos, and they used basically stop motion. They use an old school trick to do something to make it look like it did. So that's one thing I appreciate about it, is the fact that they used the CGI where it was needed, and they used new technologies and better technologies to give us practical effects. Like, I think of also to the when they come into the bank vault or the bank, and they're just blowing stuff up where it's all practical explosions. It's not a bunch of CGI explosions. So
So
sorry, did I go on a tangent?
I don't know.
What was your question again?
My question was, what was your reaction first time watching it?
Mind blown.
Mind blown.
It was very,
because it was definitely something that we'd seen before, but not to that extent and caliber, and executed well.
very, very executed well. Yeah.
The first time I watched it, I was in first or second year of college. It was the first time I watched.
You waited a while.
I waited a long time before I watched The Matrix, and
So
it was
like
during
last year,
2 years ago. Come on, it was during I think it was a sociology class that we watched it, and we were talking about like utopias or what a distant future might look like. And so we watched The Matrix. I don't know if the professor was maybe just lazy and just wanted to watch The Matrix. I don't know, but we watched it in class, which was fun.
But if you think about like a dystopian future and whatnot, like
definitely
there's many. I mean, there's a reason why we're talking about it today, but also at the same time too, like there's a lot of boxes that you can check off for this movie for different aspects of even modern times. So I could absolutely see a sociology class playing this movie to get your, well, this is what happens if this happens. The AI takes over all that stuff. So yeah, I get it.
And I didn't have my mind blown, but I think it was just because I watched it literally 15 years after it was released. I think that didn't help.
No,
but
on a small screen.
No, it was in a classroom screen, like on a projector.
I'm talking about a movie theater screen.
Yeah,
it's still a small screen in comparison.
It is a smaller screen. But watching it this time, I got a new appreciation for it, for sure. This is a movie that I think if I watch it in the theater is when it's going to finally like spark for me up into the upper echelon of films, because right now it's still missing something, and I think it's that. Like that's how I feel about Alien and Aliens too.
You got a different appreciation once you got to see it on the big screen.
I will, yes, because right now I like them. I want to love them, and that's how I feel about The Matrix. But the stuff I love is just incredible in this movie. Obviously, it's groundbreaking for the time, like you said, the CGI of the time. Where some of the CGI is not great, but it's used sparingly and used well, especially for 1999.
Exactly. And I think that's why I think it was done that way, is because they knew that they're on that cusp of the technology, but they didn't want to rely on it so much that it's going to look like a bad Star Wars movie.
And when it's used, it's inside the Matrix.
Right.
Therefore, it's already a computer simulation of what life is.
Right. So
you can break the rules a little bit of what it would look like.
It can be a little bit bad because of that one. But I mean, at least for the CGI that takes place outside of the Matrix, all we're really getting is more or less is the Sentinels and stuff like that, which are very well done, I think. Like they hold up. Like, I just watched it here just a few hours ago. I'm watching it in 4K. Like it translates 20 some odd years later. The robots with like the tentacles. Those look great. Yeah,
those look great. Yeah, those still look great. I think everything inside the Matrix is like the wonky, but it still works because it's in a computer. It's not real. It's supposed to be real life.
A world made from robots.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
What makes me think of the mouse quote about what if chicken really tastes like chicken.
Is that really air you're breathing? Shit.
Can you imagine, like, if that was the whole thing, whatever, you get jacked out and you're going back in for your training or whatnot, you're like, are you really breathing air? You know, immediately you're like,
how long can I hold my breath for?
yo.
We have said like the Matrix is wholly original, right?
Yes.
But I think there is plenty of influences from other movies in this as well.
Oh, this is straight up, I would say, a
Terminator is a huge influence for this movie.
Yeah. Just the dystopian.
Well, I would
robots taking over.
Yeah.
I would say, and if memory serves me correctly, from some of the stuff that I've read in the past and whatnot, obviously like your Terminator, everything like the dystopian future and whatnot, but it takes a lot of place from old Japanese samurai movies and old old westerns. Like this is a melding of East meets West.
Hence the dusters.
Yeah.
Hence the dusters. We can't have, because they're like, we tried to put Keanu in one of those bodysuits like Carrie Ann Moss. It didn't work.
Oh, it would work.
It'd make it work.
My ass is flat.
Whoa.
They're like, we saw you on Point Break. We're not putting you in one of those again.
But another movie it does have influences. I won't even say influences from. It just has a lot of similarities to is Office Space, especially in the opening of this movie, of the first half. Like it has that similar vibe, and that's just because of the culture of the 90s Office Space that you're working in.
Yeah.
Because Office Space came out the same year, I would assume later in the year than this one.
This Office Space is 99 as well.
Office Space is 99 as well. 99 is a great year.
A great year.
Mm-hmm.
We need to start talking to somebody about that documentary.
We should. Mr. Andy Heller listening out there, I guarantee he would love to do a 1999 documentary.
We all need to produce and make that and whatnot. Yeah, we'll have. Yeah,
Andy loves 99. But yeah, so let's jump into the movie then. Oh, the other movie that I was thinking of that it has some influences from, Nightmare on Elm Street, since we talked about it earlier, has some of that as well, because if you die in the Matrix, you die in real life.
Right.
You die in the dream world, you die in real life.
Well, I was going to say, and for the most part, I mean, the Matrix is quote unquote like the dream world.
Mm-hmm.
So I could definitely see
Hugo
that.
Weaving is Freddy Krueger. Hugo Weaving should play Freddy Krueger.
I would be okay with that.
Sign me up, please.
Yes.
I would be okay with that, because again, I will stand by the fact that Jackie Earle Haley was not the bad part about that movie. But the only question is, if you could convince somebody to try to redo Nightmare again and try to get Hugo in, how are you going to be able to convince him to do that for more than just one movie? Like, especially after the whole like deal with trying to bring back Red Skull in the MCU and everything like that. Like, I'm legit surprised that they were able to convince him to come back for more Matrix movies, because he's very much the kind of person who's like,
he also doesn't have to wear any makeup. Therefore, he won't play Freddy Krueger.
He's like, oh, I just need to put on a suit and put on my glasses. All right.
Yeah.
Good. Don't forget the little earpiece.
Yeah.
All I know is he better show up in Matrix 4. Then that's all I'm saying.
Yes.
Oh, he has to. He is so good in this movie. Him and Lawrence Fishburne like really stand out to me in terms of their performances in this movie. Mm-hmm. Like, Hugo is just perfect at playing that android type of character.
Has just got that
one emotion. That's it.
That very ominous look. I mean, every time you see him, you're like, oh shit, this is the bad guy. You get that weird feeling. I don't know. That's like, I'm trying to think back the first time I remember watching that movie and seeing him, and especially when he's interviewing Neo, and he's like, as you see, we have been watching you for quite some time now. And he's got that
fake smile,
that very fake toothy grin. And he's like, I got you by the balls, and you know it, and you can't do anything about it.
Mm-hmm. He's, I would say, especially for like villains, real fictional kind of Nightmare on Elm Street-ish, whatever the case is, for villains, especially of the 90s. He's definitely, the most clean cut we got, but he's one of the most scary that we get too.
Yes.
Him and like Robert Patrick from T2 like have similar vibes to both. Mm-hmm. Like, they'd be friends. Be scary ass weirdo.
T1000 and Agent Smith are going out for a beer.
They're going out for a beer and then gonna go kill Edward Furlong and Neo.
They're drinking their beer like, they just do that weird back and forth because like in T2, when when he changes, was it the liquid metal form into his human form? He's kind of has that weird look back and forth.
He's got to stretch himself out a little
They have
bit.
the same deadpan delivery of how they talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
very tone
deaf.
Yes.
He's just incredible in this movie. I think he is one of the great villains, especially of the 90s for sure, if not of all time. Definitely up in that list.
Less is more.
Yeah.
I would say.
Until you get to the Matrix sequels, where more is more.
More.
But Lawrence Fishburne,
Yes,
I think he's incredible in this movie.
I would have to agree with you.
Yeah.
Just the way he delivers every line of this movie with such sincerity. He feels like he's in this world, like he's lived through so much of this world, whereas Keanu is doing a little acting, whereas Fishburne is Morpheus.
Well, yeah.
He's not Lawrence Fishburne. He's Morpheus.
Lawrence Fishburne is to the point, especially even now, but I mean, even then in his career, it's even Lawrence Fishburne's phoned in performance is still better than how many people's performances. All these different people, whether they're yelling or raising their voice, or whatever the case is, he's straight up not necessarily monotone, but he's able to portray the emotion, everything like that, but never raise his voice. There's
he's not acting. It's not a performance. It's the character. Yeah.
Kind of like Johnny Depp. He doesn't act. He just is.
He just is.
He just is. But even when he fights Neo, in the it's like the old school Kung Fu scene between the two. He's so good in that too.
Right.
Keanu is obviously known for all of his
he should have been
action.
Mace Windu.
Who's that? Lawrence Fishburne? I would have loved that.
So
yeah.
well.
Sorry, Sam Jackson.
Jackson. I love you as Mace Windu, but I think Lawrence Fishburne could probably pull it off.
Larry Fishburne should have been there, and then Keanu should have played Anakin.
That might have worked.
I think it would have. He sees the Emperor shoot the lightning for the. Whoa! Can I do that?
He's just gonna be over there. Whoa!
Then you got to believe Keanu is Darth Vader at some point, and it falls apart after that. So you just imagine Darth Vader just whoa, instead of no at the end of Revenge of the Sith. Whoa!
That might have worked better.
Probably would have.
Whoa! Big kids are dead.
Whoa! Where's Padme? Just a total stoner Darth Vader.
For sure. Something's in front of the Circle K.
Be excellent, Luke. Could have been his final speech in Return of the Jedi. Be excellent, Luke.
Party on, Yoda.
Party on, dude.
I think we came up with a really great crossover there.
I hope Seth Green is listening. This is a Robot Chicken sketch if there ever was one. And actually get Keanu in it, I'm sure.
Right.
So
Lawrence Fishburne.
Larry Fishburne. He is awesome in this movie. Second time we've talked about him in the last couple months. Talking about him in Apocalypse Now.
Yeah. Much older. Much more seasoned.
Much older in this movie. He's not
not 17.
He's not lying about what age. No, he was 14. Lying about what age he was.
Character.
Yeah.
I know it's weird watching Apocalypse Now and seeing a very young Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah, I think I've seen that one.
An underage Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah.
Underage
He lied so he can get into the movie about his age because he was that young.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But he has grown as an actor, that's
Very
for sure. He is incredible in this movie, as is Carrie-Anne Moss. I think she's really great in this movie, too. Playing a great foil with Keanu as well. Question I'll ask both of you.
Yes.
Do you buy their relationship?
Him and Carrie-Anne Moss?
The love story aspect. It feels very 90s.
Oh, it's very...
Out of everything in the movie, that is the most 90s thing about it to me. And this movie is really 90s.
Forced.
Yep.
She was like, "You're the one, Neo, and we're going to make more ones.
Well, but I mean, it's also like, they're like, okay, so she's part of this here, and does it feel a little shoehorned a little bit? Absolutely, because I mean, it's like, oh yeah, I talked to the Oracle too, and my story is that I'm going to fall in love with the one, and so he has to be the one because
she fell in love with him.
Right.
Yeah.
The question is, did when she came out of the Matrix, who came out first? Her Joey Pants went on, and she's like, no, because I mean, the way everything comes out though too is, Morpheus has been looking for the one for a very long time. He's got this entire crew. How many times has he been like, you're the one, and that's why I pulled you out of the Matrix?
How many times has she fallen in love with different guys that weren't the one?
Maybe that's why Joey Pants was so pissed off.
Maybe Joey Pants was at one point
like,
the one.
Hello, over here.
Right?
Can rub my head. I'm the one.
Yeah.
So that's
I don't know.
I don't buy it. I think we're all in the same.
Yeah.
Because it feels more of a like I don't want to say there's chemistry there, but it's not a sexual chemistry.
It's more of a brotherly family chemistry.
It's a family chemistry of she has gone through a similar situation as Neo at one point and is now with Morpheus and is kind of guiding him.
Yeah.
Whereas Morpheus is like the straight up, using Star Wars again, Morpheus is Yoda.
Yeah.
She should be the Obi-Wan.
To his Luke.
To his Luke or Anakin, both. Why not? Not the Padme. She should be the yin to his yang. The yin to his yang. Yeah.
That'd be a lot easier to fit into versus trying to be like, yeah, let's make out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be more of the, because Morpheus is definitely the analytical father figure. She could have been more of the loving mother figure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's one thing I don't buy in this. And that kind of leads me into why we're talking about the Matrix with Neo. So watching it this time, Brian, I'm gonna throw it to you first.
Okay.
Obviously, we had that in mind. Watching the movie through a different lens,
through a transgender lens,
transgender lens, and having the Wachowskis back that up, the fans back that up. Obviously, Kimberly, that is why you brought up the Matrix, backing that up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You and I don't think I knew about the Wachowskis talking about it a little bit and the fan theories of it. But what was your thoughts of watching it, obviously, in your head already, now this time?
Well, I mean, part of me is I didn't know much about like the fan theory stuff, wherever the case is, but when the first sister came out as transgender, and then shortly thereafter the other sister came out and whatnot, and you start leaning back on like previous works and stuff that they've done and whatnot, and obviously the first thing anybody thinks of is the Matrix and whatnot. You start looking at it and you're going, okay, I get it. But I think that might partially be why like the love story-esque part of this maybe does feel shoehorned, maybe does feel a little bit off, because they're trying to write it from the perspective of girl falls in love with boy, and that's not how it works for them, kind of thing, So I mean, maybe that's why it doesn't translate as well, maybe
for the love story.
For the love story part of it.
And that's I never bought it the first time I watched it either. And then watching it this time, I buy it even less because it does feel like this.
And I would agree with that when you watch it through the different perspective.
So Kimberly, then when you came across this theory online and then watched The Matrix again, was it like a light bulb thing, or as soon as you heard the theory, was it a light bulb thing?
As soon as I heard the theory, it really ding.
You're like,
like, this is obvious, just because I can kind of compare my transition to Neo's, because it is a struggle. It's a gigantic struggle. So when I heard about that theory, I was like, well, this is a no-brainer then. I mean, it's very obvious, especially when you use the whole pill, analogy. And then it really, okay, yeah, perfect. Then that totally makes sense to me then. Instead of just trying to come off as a sci-fi movie and be like, really cool sci-fi movie like that, but when there's that underlying meaning, and that's where my mind goes, with that.
For me, watching it this time is when Neo and Trinity have kind of their first interactions, and Neo's in this club underground, and Trinity shows up, and he's like, "You're Trinity? I thought you would be a guy."
Yeah.
Mhm.
And just her reaction to that, it was like, there's something different about the way that scene works now. And that's why I don't buy the love scene at the end, because I think Trinity is kind of where Neo wants to be if we're looking at this through a trans lens.
Sure.
Because, and then that's why when they kiss at the end, I'm like, sure. But that's not how I was reading it before up to that point.
Mhm.
But like, because watching it this time, I had never really thought of that line. But it's just the way Carrie-Anne Moss reacts to it. I was like, the Wachowskis had something else in mind with that line, and then the reaction from Carrie-Anne Moss. And it's kind of like just a fun thing of, oh, I thought you would be a guy, obviously, because you're Trinity, you're working with Morpheus. But there's something else underneath that as well, watching it this time. And I was like, that's where it is, and that's where I saw Trinity this time more so than the love interest, which I like her more in that type of role much better. Because it feels more organic, and it doesn't feel shoehorned in. Like, we're a 90s action movie. There has to be Arnold Schwarzenegger or Sly Stallone making out with the girl at the end. It's like, it's Keanu Reeves. Oh, he should. I mean, he could make out with the girl at the end, but he doesn't need to in this one.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the first point in this movie where I was like, I'm watching something different than I was watching a few years ago. And this movie definitely has a lot of that throughout. It's especially when Neo is exposed to what the Matrix is and the differences of his real life versus that as well. Like, it's a rebirthing process that he has. And it's, how do you feel about that, Kimberly? Like,
So,
the rebirthing scene of he now knows of the Matrix, has taken the pill, and is now entering the real world really for the first time in his life.
So that makes a lot of sense, because when he finds out what the Matrix really is, and that scene where he's fighting, where he's learning and fighting at the same time.
When he's basically downloading all the
he's in the simulation from
right. So like, learning what the Matrix is, and now he's like, well, now I have to relearn everything. And that's very similar to being transgender, because you have to learn how to talk, you have to learn how to walk, you have to learn how to act, in a society where they would prefer you to be not so obvious, if that makes sense. Because like, when you look at me, I don't quite, if you were to hear me on the phone versus looking at me in person, you probably wouldn't expect what you're looking at. So that's, that whole scene where he's like jacked into the Matrix and he's learning everything. That is very, very similar to after you're coming out, you have to almost relearn everything again. It's like
a literal rebirth in a way.
Because your old self dies, and then like, kind of like the Phoenix, you burn in the ashes and then you're reborn.
But everything that was previous, like with Neo, is still, obviously you still remember it,
you
know of it. It's always there.
It's always there.
But it's something new. You're entering basically a whole new world. You become the one. You become Neo now instead of Mr. Anderson.
That you were meant to be.
Yeah.
And you have to kind of go through all the paces again.
Well, and that's right. I kind of see in terms of like the blue pill, red pill thing is not necessarily the whole like medical side of it, but more of, I'm providing you an option. And this is basically my story wave gateway to be able to give you that gateway or whatever. But, it's like, okay, we've got Agent Smith and basically saying you need to assimilate to what I say is fact. And Morpheus is over here going, I have you the gateway to show you what you truly are supposed to be or who you truly are, and they just obviously they use the pills as a way of going, well, here's how we knew. Because they even say that, it's a quote unquote, the tracer program. So we can find him so we can give him the rebirth that he deserves and whatnot. So, I think of it as it's more of the, do you take that path of going, I'm just going to live my life how people expect me to live, aka the blue pill, or do I take that red pill and be like, okay, I'm going to be who I'm supposed to be?
Mm-hmm. And that's why Mr. Smith, right? Agent Smith, and the Matrix is really important in the allegory of the movie as well. With looking at it through a trans lens, is that it's conformity, it's safety, it is what the norm is in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas once he gets out, it's obviously that's not the norm. That's just us conforming to what was presented before us. We don't know any difference. It's the societal standards of the world in which we live in. And yeah, like you said, that's what Morpheus is presenting him with. You can go back to that, or you can embrace being the true you, the one that I do believe is the chosen one, the person who you also believe is not who you were before, whether or not you believe you're the one in terms of the movie, but you do believe you're something different outside of the Matrix in a way.
And I think that kind of goes also into like the Oracle too, is that, she doesn't tell him what he needs to hear. She tells him basically in an enigmatic way of telling him what he needs to hear for him to make his own decisions, not tell him, yep, you are the one. Like, you're not to tell you this is what it is. No, you need to be able to come up to that, endpoint on your own.
Right. And that's very kind of like how I came to be,
Mm-hmm.
It's like you live long enough where you're miserable with everything. And then you'd be like, all right, so no one can sit there and say, you need to do this in order for you to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
You have to come, like how you said, you have to literally come to this on your own.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you said, and that's exactly how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it went for me.
Well, and if you look at Neo in this movie, they're always saying, like, throughout the movie, if you embrace who you're truly meant to be, you won't have to worry about, bullets hurting you. You'll just be able to have them miss you completely. Exactly. Embracing who you are fully. When he finally does, they're like, how'd you do that? And it's his own being of choosing to do that more than anything. No one taught him how to dodge bullets. Neo taught himself how to do that. So it's all on him, guided by Morpheus Trinity, the Oracle, as well.
I want to know how he trained himself how to shoot bullets too, because that chain gun should have at least gotten one nick on Morpheus.
Yeah.
I was looking up a thing just shortly after I got done with it. I don't think nothing of it. I enjoy that scene for exactly what it is. And it's like, how did Morpheus not get hit by one bullet? I'm like, you know what? You think of that shot when it's, where all the bullet casings are falling down, and like, you're right. How did you do that much damage? And Morpheus is like, I'm good.
Yeah, it's kind of brushes it off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Another question I have, because I watched it obviously through a different lens this time, but I picked up on looking at it through the trans lens and seeing those themes present more so than any other theme in this movie. But I picked up on another theme too. I want to know if you both did.
Okay.
There's a biblical aspect to this movie too.
Yes, very much so.
Whereas Neo is Jesus. He is the Jesus Christ.
He's the JC.
He's the JC.
Matrix world.
He is, and
he's the Buddy Christ.
And I actually, Keanu kind of does look like Buddy Christ, and I could see him playing him like in an actual like Kevin Smith movie. Whoa!
I totally want to just be like, go on to Twitter. Hey, Kevin Smith, I got an idea for you.
Dogma 2, starring Keanu Reeves as Buddy Christ.
I've already got my ticket bought.
Please make it happen. And then we can have Jay and Silent Bob meet Keanu and Alex Winter.
Oh my God.
Whoa.
I would be okay with that.
Cool. All of Brian's cinematic dreams would come true in one scene.
Yeah, that's the synapses burning.
Did you catch on any of those themes? Because that was something like, having grown up in a Christian household, I usually can pick them up on in plenty of movies, and this one definitely has that.
It's got that I can walk on water.
Yeah, type of feel to them.
Or fly through the
fly through the air.
Yeah.
Well, I would honestly say is that when this came out in '99, I would say that was more prevalent then.
Mm-hmm.
In that, because I mean, if you think of like Morpheus, not necessarily, obviously we got, Keanu's kind of the JC, if you will, but is that Morpheus has his disciples, his crew, and there's definitely, I think that was more of like before the Wachowskis came out and went through their transition, and before it was looked through that lens, I'm pretty sure that majority of anybody was talking about that movie, if they were looking at through a lens that was not a sci-fi action movie, was probably through through the lens of Christianity.
Yeah, and I've seen that expressed on the internet before, that this is could be interpreted through the lens of the Bible too, and having certain stories throughout.
But that's one thing I think about, at least for some movies though too, is that if these movies are done very well and have a basic, relatively clear-cut story and whatnot, you can almost watch any movie through any sort of lens and glean good things off it, whether it was intentional or not.
And I think that's one thing about The Matrix that makes it last, 22 years after its release, so you can watch it as a sci-fi action movie, straightforward. It's about the computer world, Neo going into the real world and being the chosen one of this sci-fi universe.
Yep.
Or you can look at it through like the trans lens, like we did today, and you're like, there's plenty of that allegory to be in it. Or you could look at it through like the biblical lens of he's Jesus and fully embracing that he is the one in terms of Christianity. There's probably 5 other interpretations of the Matrix out there as well. So I think that's one thing that makes this movie really stand out, is that it has so many underlying themes underneath it. And that shows what the Wachowskis did with this movie. It was obviously did their research in terms of storytelling.
Yes.
Because that's what this movie is. It's just straight up classic sci-fi storytelling. Classic storytelling in terms of any, literal aspect of storytelling, whether it be caveman, whether it be like caveman drawings, the Bible, books, movies, television, whatever. That's what this is storytelling.
Well, and when you say that too, I mean, if you look at it, like you said, sci-fi action, whatever, right? Is that it is very much a dramatic story, sci-fi story, but the action sequences are only put where they are necessary. It's not like every 10 minutes there's an action piece.
There's a good portion where there's no action in this.
Right,
good
exactly.
40, 50 minutes where it's setting the world, not action.
In a normal 80s and 90s action movie or whatever, there would have been a huge fight sequence before and after the Oracle. Like there would have been like, okay, here's this one piece. We got to put a huge piece before and after it.
And really the closest thing it has that fight between Morpheus and Neo in the simulation. And that's not even real,
right?
Like there's not really stakes to it. That's character stuff.
That's character building more than it's a fight sequence.
And then when the fight sequences do come at the end, where you had the huge gunfight with Neo and Trinity, and then you had the fight between Agent Smith and Neo, it's like there's the action, which it earns up to that point, which I think is awesome. And then at the beginning, watching this movie, I didn't realize. I guess I had forgot how soon they introduced the 360 with Trinity. Is within like the first 10 minutes of this movie, 5 minutes.
Yeah, when she does a little jump kick thing with the very beginning.
And the camera spins.
Yep.
It's like watching that in 99 had to have been like right away. It's like, oh my God, what is this movie? Like, what is going on with this?
And I want to say that, it's also 99. So it's literally on the cusp of the birth of the internet kind of thing.
Yes.
And where we are sitting here watching, we don't get the things like we got today, like all this behind the scenes, all this behind the video footage, whatever the case is. It was just literally going, after the movie came out, going, how the F did they do that? And then that's when they show you, oh, by the way, we have this room that we made that's all green screen, but then here's 75, 80 cameras to do the stop motion, because then she can jump once and we have it, and then we just manipulate the photos that we took. That nobody was doing stuff like that, but certainly after they got done, everybody was doing that.
Yes. So, I mean, obviously this movie has such a huge influence that movies are still mimicking today. That's why I'm excited for The Matrix 4, because I feel like the Wachowskis now are still testing those waters of what you can do with movies.
Mhm.
Speed Racer being one of those, where I really do appreciate that movie. It's not great, but
It's not a great movie.
I appreciate what it is
Well, that's just it.
and what they were doing.
If you watch a Speed Racer cartoon and then watch Speed Racer the movie, like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Also, since we're talking about the Wachowskis and like doing adaptations, especially with Speed Racers, can we give them Glass Airbender? Like, sorry, M. Night, like, your movie sucks. Give them Glass
Please
Airbender.
do that.
Yes.
That would be pretty badass.
Mhm.
I would.
I think they would know how to pronounce his name too.
Did we ever watch like Jupiter Ascending or Cloud Atlas or anything?
I
like
didn't
that?
watch either of those.
Watched Jupiter Ascending a long time ago when it first came out.
I'll
Not
be-
what I was expecting.
I'll be honest, the only Wachowski movies I have seen are the first Matrix and Speed Racer. I've not even seen the sequels to this.
What? I'm just kidding.
Whoa!
Not even the fact that they're attached to the V for Vendetta.
I've never seen V for Vendetta.
Well, that's a good one.
I know, I
Jeez.
get yelled at by
Oh, the other half keeps yelling at you?
Kayla all the
No,
time.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
make sure
yeah,
she keeps doing that.
Yeah, please do. I will eventually watch it with Hugo Weaving.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
Oh, Hugo and Natalie Portman
Mhm.
are fantastic in that.
Let's go into
They know how to take care of Natalie Portman as a character actor, as opposed to Star Wars.
George Lucas. Come on. Well, just act faster, a little louder. Let's go into final thoughts then on the Matrix. Now, here watching it, 21 years removed from 1999. What has changed? What has made the movie better? Final thoughts. I can go first since mine are pretty simple. This movie's gotten better since the first time I watched it. Again, like I said, there's something missing, and I think it's just the big screen experience.
Yeah.
Because I think everything else is really incredible in this movie. Like, I love Keanu Reeves. I love, obviously, Hugo Weaving and Lawrence Fishburne are just giving incredible performances. The storytelling is just masterful. The action is just obviously revolutionary. And there's so many different ways that you can watch this movie. And I'm just waiting for that one time where I'm like, obviously this is a masterpiece. Because right now, we're talking, I'm like, why am I giving this not a 5?
You might want to go revisit.
Why am I
your
not giving
Letterboxd.
this a 5-star rating? Because it is a 5-star movie. It just hasn't, I don't know,
I
some
think-
reason.
I
There's something missing on it.
In my final thoughts, but kind of shoehorning off of yours or whatnot.
Mhm.
I think everything has to do with the whole big screen experience.
I think that's what it is.
just because
Some
we
movies just deserve
Yes.
that.
right. Well, and you and I have had the opportunity of living through this when it was a new release in '99, knowing how much of the hype of that movie before it even came out, and seeing this on the big screen, it absolutely is a 5-star. Because even if you want to give props to the inability of Keanu's acting, if you will, his inability of acting still works for this character. And you can't have this movie would not have been the same if it had not been Keanu.
And that's one thing with Keanu. I always say he's not a great actor, but he's always sincere in his acting.
Right.
And that's why I'm like, I forgive him every single time.
That's why he's even good in SpongeBob.
He
As
is,
Sage.
he is good.
Really?
Yeah, the new SpongeBob movie, he plays Sage. He plays as Tumbleweed. And honestly,
I don't think I need to see more SpongeBob in my entire life than I do right now.
oh my god, as me sitting going to get on the Keanu, whatever, I'm like, I'm only watching this because it's part of my little movie endeavor. I can't believe I'm going to watch a SpongeBob movie. Oh my god, I like that way more than I was supposed to, and he is one of the reasons. But I mean, I stand by it. It absolutely is a 5-star movie, and this is coming from the fact that this came in those primal 20-something years of my life and whatnot, the big screen experience and what they did for CGI storytelling, all that great cast, whatever. This absolutely is one of the reasons why this is on a lot of like best of favorite movies of a lot of people. Like if you're looking at Letterboxd, so many people have this of absolute favorite movies of all time. So yeah, I think you should just put it 5 stars with the anticipation that at some point here we'll get to watch it at the state and you can get your big screen experience. He's like, you said everything I would have.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. it's definitely one of those movies you have to see it on the big screen. There's just so much that can be going on at any one given time that if you're watching it on a regular TV, you're just not going to get that full, full body rumbling in the seat kind of audio, everything with it.
Things that I just thought about here just now is, when we got this in '99 and whatnot, this is before Blu-ray, this is before 4K, this is before some of the technologies we have today. Can you imagine if we had an opportunity to see the 4K restoration in the theater with like a Dolby Atmos surround sound?
There's only so many times my head can blow up.
I think if we got an updated mix for today's standards with today's resolution and whatnot, and they went back to like the original. I don't know what they did for the 4K for the restoration now, but like if they did to clean everything up, this movie would just be amazing on the big screen.
So Stephen and Allison from the State Theater, if you are listening, please book The Matrix.
Pretty, please.
We put this out. We tagged them specifically.
You already have 3 tickets sold. I mean, last question then. If you're going to pair one movie with The Matrix for a perfect double feature, let's say at the State Theater, what are you pairing it with?
I'm just gonna go for the low hanging fruit, and I'm just gonna make it a triple feature and just give me all 3 Matrix movies. Just give me a good, nice triple feature.
But you want good movies, and
the Matrix Reloaded, Matrix Revolutions are what they are. I mean, do they give the exact same that we get out of the original? No, but at the same time too, we get more of that storytelling that we get to see these characters. That's why, when they said they were making a Matrix 4, is it necessary that we need to? Do we need to revisit it? No, but you know what? I will still buy a ticket and I will still go see that in the theater.
Same.
And so, at that day, it'd be like, all right, give me a triple feature at the State Theater, and then I'll go to the Cinemark and go watch 4. I would make a day of that.
Count me in on that. That'd be cool.
I will not take the low-hanging fruit. I'm going to climb the tree and actually go find that apple that says James Cameron's Terminator. So I would do The Matrix first, and then we're going OG Terminator right after.
There you go.
Similar themes, similar aspects to it. Fun, action, sci-fi, horror as well with the Terminator. That's why it's going on last. That's what I would pair it with.
Can you imagine if Linda Hamilton would have shown up in The Matrix?
Put her in The Matrix 4. Why not?
Right.
That'd be pretty cool.
Could you imagine Arnold Schwarzenegger in The Matrix?
I'm still just trying to wrap my head around the new cast that's showing up in The Matrix 4. And who?
Isn't Neil Patrick Harris in the cast?
Christina Ricci.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
She is obviously going to be pale and wearing leather. She'll fit in perfectly.
She'll fit in perfectly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Something tells me Neil Patrick Harris won't be the first time he's been in leather either.
No, probably not.
Which honestly is probably one of the reasons why he was potentially cast in terms of, depending on where they're going to, take this franchise. Being an openly gay man, going to be entering into the, a post-gender change of the Wachowskis too. They're going to be probably putting a lot more less subtlety into this next one, I think, than they had in the previous ones.
Yeah,
because they were still, not out at the time, even when the third one came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're working with people they just want to work with now, because I've heard nothing but great things about Christina Ricci and Neil Patrick Harris. Right. So it seems just like we're going to work with people we want to work with.
I would be okay with that.
Yeah, I would.
But at the same
maybe
time,
he's like the new Agent Smith that they didn't get Hugo Weaving. He's like the new android.
He's like, have you seen How I Met Your Mother? I can wear a suit.
Nothing suits him like a suit.
Yeah.
Right? But no, I mean, it's also one of those kind of things too. Like The Matrix has if going into The Matrix 4 and the people that they've cast outside of returning cast members and whatnot is, hey, we're doing a Matrix 4. How many of these people in Hollywood are like, I want somehow in on this? Again, it's one of those kind of movies that's been like on top of everybody's like top list of all time kind of thing. Be like, Neil Patrick Harris probably is like, I don't even look at the script. You said you want me in The Matrix? Where do I sign on the dotted line? Like, and I imagine that's where a lot of this is going to come. That's why I'm definitely also looking forward to the next one.
Yeah. So, what's the date on that one? That's the last thing I'm going to leave us off on here for.
Do we even have a date for that yet?
I think it does.
Not soon enough.
We will find it. Tomorrow. Comes out tomorrow.
Yeah, right.
They're like,
it's December 22nd
of this year.
Yes, because it is also part of the HBO.
That is right.
Warner Brothers.
I know what I'm doing on my birthday.
So I'm going to guess the State Theater will play this in December.
No, they won't be doing new
movies anyway. The Matrix.
Oh,
yeah.
So we need to start talking to Steven about doing some.
They might be talking. They might be talking already. Like, we got you guys. We got you.
We got your Goonies. Lay off me, man.
We got you for December. Just hold on. So yeah, go check it out again and watch The Matrix through a different lens this time.
Yes.
And prepare yourself for The Matrix 4, which I will be doing. So I will watch The Matrix sequels.
The Matrix 4 is one of those ones where even though I have HBO Max, my butt is going to pay the money. I'm going to go sit in the seat at the theater and appreciate it for exactly what it is.
I think I will as well, because I was going to do that for The Conjuring. The devil made me do it, and then I sat at home, and I'm glad I did.
You're like, I'm so glad I did that.
I'm glad I didn't pay money for that. Yeah.
I watched half that movie.
Didn't finish it, right?
Yeah.
The first two were fantastic. Third one,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what happens when you don't have the same guy make the direct the third one that made the first two?
Yeah, that was what happened.
Michael Chavez, who did The Curse of La Llorona 2 years ago, was brought on for that.
So the guy that did La Llorona is the one that did The Conjuring 3 instead of James Wan, the guy who knows what he's doing when it comes to horror movies.
Unfortunate.
He's only like, hey, horror movie. I know what I'm doing.
Shameless plug. Go check out the latest episode of Slashlight, where Sam Lenz and I discuss the entire Conjuring series, including The Devil Made Me Do It. Me and Sam, spoiler alert, felt the same.
They were doing a lot of shitting by the sounds of it.
We were doing a lot of shitting on the movie.
Don't watch the video.
Speaking, no, please don't. That's why we didn't put a video up. It would have been just Mr. Hanky on the screen. That's it. Speaking of Sam Lenz, Brian, next week we're going to be starting a brand new series. We're going to be talking about animation, live action hybrids because of Space Jam.
Yes.
Whatever the new one's called.
Space Jam
Next Generation. Oh, New Legacy.
A New Legacy.
Okay. So next week we're talking about Space Jam 1996. So also another 90s gem, if you will.
So this is a gem. It's not, it's not 5-star gem, but it's a 90s gem.
I will probably rate this 5 stars, even though I did not rate The Matrix as such. I will rate Space Jam as 5 stars because I'm insane like that.
All I know is this is what happens when I go to the State Theater. Thank you, State, for playing Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So I get stuck in my head that I want to watch a bunch of hybrid movies, and Space Jam just come out. I'm like, this is what we need to do for July.
So we will be doing live action hybrid movies, including Space Jam next week. Also on that is going to be Roger Rabbit coming up, Pete's Dragon, and Cool World with Brad Pitt.
Look, Kim Basinger. Please tell me you've seen Cool World.
I've seen Cool World.
Oh, I love how amazingly bad that movie is.
I've never seen it.
Oh, you are in for a treat. Never once did you ever think that you're going to travel through the insides of a great big animated ape and exit his butthole.
All right, I'm in. Let's do it. Let's do it.
I knew that was going to say it.
As long as Brad Pitt is in with me for that journey, I am totally in for that. So that is not next week. Space Jam is next week. There is no butthole traveling in Space Jam, but there is. But there is Michael Jordan.
Maybe that explains the whole ending with Porky Pig. Maybe that's the butthole.
Maybe that's someone's butthole. But that is coming up next week. Space Jam kicking it off. But we are finishing up Pride Month, which was, I think, went very well as it did last year.
I think next year is going to be really hard to top this year.
I think next year we can expect the State Theater will play one movie we talked about because they played Hedwig and the Angry Inch that we talked about last year.
And they played Love, Simon this year.
And they also played Love, Simon this year. I'm expecting them to play something we talked about this month Nightmare on Elm Street 2, please. Because they're going to play The Matrix this December. We already decided that they're going to. We decided it for them.
You hear that, guys?
But yeah, let us know in the comments what you all thought of our Pride Month series for this year. Obviously, we are going to.
What should we do next?
What should we do next year? June is what we're planning. That's for Infinity and Beyond for the podcast. So
stop trying to plug the Pixar show.
I'm getting into the plug, so I'm just transitioning into everything here. Speaking of To Infinity and Beyond, coming up this Saturday, July 3rd, 7 p.m., Spellbound Magic Shop. We're going to be doing our top 20 Pixar movies countdown with Sam Lenz is hosting that one. I don't know how well that's going to go. That's going to be off the rails.
It's going to go great when we give him his veto.
His ka-chow. It's not a veto. It's a ka-chow.
I don't care. He's still getting one.
So we're going to be counting down the top 20 Pixar movies. Myself, Andy Heller, Charlie Eccles, and Jess Johansson will be doing so. July 3rd, 7 p.m., Spellbound Magic Shop, Sioux Falls. Come on out. It's a free event. It'll be fun, rowdy, and I don't know.
It's going to have to be. You're already calling out Charlie and Andy.
I've already dropped a promo, and I'm waiting for a response from both of those. I think they're scared. I think they are scared. The mega powers of Andy Heller and Charlie Eccles are scared.
They're not scared.
They are terrified of what I will play on.
They're not going to stoop down to your lower level because they know they're better than you.
Brian, I'm defending backlots on this. You're supposed to have my back.
Oh, I've got your back.
I'm playing.
But I've also watched the promo.
I'm playing
somebody who who is on the same age level as those two.
I should have worded that better, but I'm defending backlot no matter the age. It's just Eccles, Heller. Sorry, Jess, you're going to be included. You're going down. This is my countdown. It's what's happening. It's going down. I'm defending backlot like the hero Lex Luger of 1996 would.
Lex Luthor. Oh my God.
Not Lex Luthor.
No,
Lex
I know.
Luger.
I heard you say Lex Luger.
Only Andy Heller and Charlie Eccles will laugh at that joke. But speaking of Mr. Andy Heller, he is one of our patrons, and you can find us on Patreon, patreon.com/backlot605. We have $1, $3, $5 tiers. Thanks to our patrons, including Andy Heller. Thank you for giving us money. I'm still going to call you out on social media. Logan, Blake, and Derek, Lou, Corey, and Darren, thank you all so much. You are my 5 favorite patrons, and then Andy Heller.
I love you, Andy.
I do too, but you're going down. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd. Brian, where can they find us? I know I'm swapping it around. Where can they find the podcast online?
I'm so confused.
See if you can remember these.
Now, where did I put it here? Let's see. Apple and Spotify and Google and Amazon. Stitcher.
Yep.
I was like, did I?
And you can see our faces on YouTube.
And YouTube. You can watch this. You see me like sweating over here because I don't have pictures to be able to be like, hey, I know what that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's all we got for our plugs. Kimberly, do you have anything you would want to throw out there? Otherwise, I have one more question.
Drink more Ovaltine.
Drink more Ovaltine. That is a.
So what you're saying is your favorite Christmas movie is A Christmas Story.
Yes.
Yes.
You are in good company right now.
Favorite Pixar movie.
Ooh, God.
Now
There's
just
so many to choose from.
Oh, there's only like 25.
Yeah. What's the one with the superhero family?
The Incredibles.
Bingo. Yeah.
Incredibles 1 or Incredibles 2?
Ooh, 1 for sure. Although 2 with the baby with all the different powers, cool, but 1 definitely.
Mm-hmm. I won't say much because
you can because you don't want to show your hands.
I don't want to show my hands.
I like how you even called out the other, especially Andy, about hiding his ratings for his Pixar movies on Letterboxd.
Yeah, just be careful what you post on Letterboxd because even if you delete it, it might be already saved on another competitor's phone. I don't know. I am taking this seriously, so watch out, Andy, Charlie, and Jess. You're not going to be happy what I'm playing first. I'm just going to leave it with that.
It's like Toy Story 4.
No, Toy Story 4 is making the top 10. That's happening. So yeah, go check that out again Saturday. What is it? July 3rd, 7 p.m. Spellbound Magic Shop. Let's do it. Anything else you got to throw out there?
No. I think you've pretty much rambled on.
I have rambled on for far too long and have made Andy and Charlie both hate me, which is okay.
Because
which is
they'll
fine.
still love you tomorrow.
They'll still love me Sunday morning. Kimberly, thank you so much for
Thank you
joining
for
us.
having me.
Absolutely. This has been a blast. If they do play the Matrix at the State,
Oh,
we're all
I will
going?
definitely
do it.
Yeah.
This
Okay.
is the minute
All right.
I know about it, I'd be like, so
Yep.
we'll just have to have Derek just buy our row again.
Yeah, let's do it.
So that'll hopefully be coming up soon. But yeah, I guess until next time, go watch Space Jam.
Yes.
And is the next one coming out this weekend? I don't remember.
It's Legacy.
Yeah,
I think it's like
I don't know.
It's like the 16th.
I don't know. So yeah, go check out LeBron James later. I guess we're gonna plug LeBron James. Sure, why not? But Kimberly, thank you again so much.
Thank you.
For Brian Mensing, I'm Casey Kelderman. We will check you all out next time on the Backlot of South Dakota. Bye.